All right, today's objective is we're going to describe the angle relationship, some value created by intersecting lines. The picture that you see here is what we're trying to get to the point that we can write sentences to describe how you could find Z or X or Y or W. Now, you're going to go to page 7 in your packet. I am going to give you notes. You need to pause this video and take your notes as we're going so that you can end up doing this independently by the end of the lesson. As you can see on this page, we see that we have a picture and then we have some sentence frames. I'm going to show you how to use those sentence frames, and eventually we're going to get to the point where we don't give you sentence frames because you'll know how to form these sentences. So look at the first question here. It says angle 3 is blank degrees because angle blank and angle blank are blank. We're going to figure out all those. I'm looking at angle 3 right now in the picture. It's right here. And I noticed that angle 40 degrees right next to it. If you look at them together, they're actually forming a straight line. And we know that two angles that form a straight line or 180 degrees are supplementary. So that means that if you take 180, subtract the 40, you'd find out that angle 3 is worth 140 degrees. So I'm going to come down here. Angle 3 is worth 140 degrees. That's because angle 3 and angle 40 degrees are supplementary. Angles. Now, I'm going to go on to the next question right beside it. I'm going to erase my work and kind of start fresh. You don't always have to do that, but I'm going to do it on this one. Let's talk about angle 5 this time. So angle 5 is right here. And I notice that if you were to take this line and this line, they cross, they intersect, and we learned yesterday that when lines intersect, the two angles that are across from each other have a special relationship. They're vertical angles, and they're congruent. So that means this angle 5 is also 40 degrees. So angle 5 is 40 degrees. That's because angle 5 and angle 40 degrees are vertical. So these are great sentences. They have the relationship going on. They tell me which angles they're using, and they use a vocabulary word. Now, we go on to this next picture. It's asking us about angle 1 this time. Well, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but you have a right angle here, and you have this straight line going on. So if a straight line is 180 and a right angle is 90, then that means that this side's also worth a right angle if I look in that section. So that means that angle 1 and angle 50 degrees are together worth 90 degrees. That's complementary. So if I take 90, subtract the 50 here, I would know that angle 1 has to be 40 because that's the only number that can add with 50 to make 90. So angle 1 is 40 degrees. That's because angle 1 and angle 50 degrees are complementary. If you missed any notes on this page, pause right now, finish your notes up, and then keep the video going. All right, so when you explain how you determine an angle measurement, we're looking for you to do 3 things. We explain one relationship at a time, we use the proper vocabulary words, and we should have a sentence for every individual angle we find. So, go to page 9 in your packet. On page 9, we see this interesting shape, a lot more complicated than what we were looking at. Your page has 2 questions on it. Mine only has 1 because I'll have that second question on the next page. So the first question says, write how to get the measurement of angle F. Don't forget to include all the steps it took in important vocabulary. So when you get these problems, you first have to just kind of like find the angle you're looking for and then kind of think about it. So what do I know? I know that angle F is part of this straight line, right? And I know that I have a 78 degree angle here, and I have this angle here that I don't know what it is, so I'll put a question mark. And then I have angle F right here. Well, guess what? Those 3 together are worth 180. Okay, well that's actually really helpful because if you look, we actually see that this line and this line that are forming that question mark angle actually form this 44-degree angle too. So that means the question mark, we actually do know it's worth 44 degrees because it's vertical to the 44-degree angle. Okay, now that we know those, we know 78, 44, and this are making 180, a straight line. So you could do 180, take away the 78, which would be 102, then take away the 44, which would, see here, it would take us down to 58 degrees. So we found out angle F is worth 58 degrees. So I did all that work. Now I've got to explain that work. So let's see how I went about that. So first of all, I talked about the fact that I knew angle 44. So I'm talking about one angle I figured out, and I'm using the vocabulary word that it was a vertical angle. So notice, following the rules, one relationship at a time, use the vocabulary word, a sentence for every individual relationship. So that's one. Next, what do I talk about next? Okay, well, 78 degrees and 44 degrees and angle F make a straight line, which is 180. So I'm talking about that one relationship, the straight line. Anytime you talk about a straight line, write that it's worth 180, showing that you know that. Finally, I found angle F. Remember, I did the work to find angle F. I did 180 minus 78 minus 44, or I can write it this way, 180 minus 44 minus 78. It's worth 58 degrees. All right, now let's do the second problem on this page. The second problem is asking you, by the way, pause it if you didn't get the last notes. Take it back, get all those notes before you go on. All right, this last angle or question is saying, if angle A is worth 102, so I'm going to go to angle A, I'll write 102 degrees there, write how to get the measurement of angle D. So what I've got to find is over here. Now, those seem really unrelated. However, there's all kinds of tricks you can look for. You can look for supplementary angles. For instance, I can see right here there's a straight line, and I can see that, like, if I did this angle right here, the 102, and this, those should be worth 180. So if I did 180 minus the 102, I would find out that it's 78 degrees right here. Does that make sense? And think about, in the last problem, we figured out that this one right here was vertical, so it was worth 44 degrees. And there's a really important trick I want you to look for. If you ever see a triangle in a problem, that might become really helpful, because we know that if you take the three angles of a triangle, so we have 78 degrees, 44, and this, those three together equal 180. Well, no problem. I can find out the question mark because I can do 180 minus the 44, which will give me 136. Then minus the 78, which will give me, let's see, that's 12, 58 degrees. This question mark is worth 58 degrees. Okay, well, now that I found out that question mark, I can see that angle D is a straight line with that question mark. Oh, well, that's like no problem then. That means if I take 180 and I subtract the 58, then whatever that is, that's angle D. So that means angle D is worth 122 degrees. So now if I were to go through this, the explanation, like, think about what I did. I started with the 78-degree one. So I wrote a sentence. If angle A is 102, then the angle supplementary to it is 78. Notice, one angle relationship, and then use the vocabulary word. So what did I do next? The 44-degree angle. So 44-degree angle creates a vertical. There I have the relationship and the word. Next, after that, didn't I find that 58-degree one? So look at that. 44 degrees, 78 degrees, and the supplement to D, so that's where the question mark is. The supplement to D are all in the triangle, so they equal 180. So notice that vocabulary. They're in a triangle, they equal 180. Therefore, the supplement is 58 degrees. So I talked about how I got that. Finally, I talk about angle D is supplementary to 58 degrees, so it's 122. So you're talking about all these different specific relationships. All right, so you're about to go on to page 8 in your packet. You're going to do it on your own. There's 2 questions, and then you'll check with the key we have provided. After that, the way you're finishing class today is you're going to get this paper back, and you're going to go ahead and do number 2 on this paper, which is asking you to determine angle W. And then it says, hint, it's going to take 3 angles to explain. So you're going to have to use these other angles, some of them, to help you get to W. There will be 3 sentences total. All right, get to work. Use your time wisely. There is not much time left in the period.